Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to start my reading vlog for the mid-month book bash, which is the second weekend of every month, and it is March 7th. It is March 7th, and so with the mid-month book bash, we start on a Friday and we end on a Monday, and we try to read as much as we can during the weekend and the 4 days. And this was an idea that was initially conceived of by Doris over at Aldi Books. And I usually like to try to participate by making a vlog on this weekend, and it helps me to jumpstart my reading because every month, for whatever reason, at the beginning of the month, I just have a hard time getting going. Like, I often finished a bunch of books by the end of a month, and then the start of a new month, I have a bunch of books on the go, but I am not getting anything finished. I have actually completed one book. I completed my first book of the month last night, and that's Pattern Master by Octavia Butler, but we won't be talking about that today because today we're talking about what we're going to be reading over this weekend. So I have 4 books to talk to you about, and the first one is one I'm reading on my Kindle. This is Lamentation by CJ Sansom. I am buddy reading this with Doris. This is a book from March Mystery Madness. This is a book in the Matthew Shardlake Historical Mystery Series. These books take place in the Tudor period, in the 1500s, during the reign of King Henry VIII. And Matthew is a lawyer, and he often, in these books, gets involved in a mystery. Inadvertently, he gets asked to look at something or to try to solve something or to help someone, and he gets sucked into some mystery that he has to solve. And I really enjoy these because of the historical detail. It really gives you an excellent sense of place and time and what life was like for everyday people, because Matthew Shardlake is not rich. He is a lawyer, yes, but he is what would be middle class today. He's, not a peasant, and he's not super poor, but he's also not royalty. He's not in the aristocracy, but they use him. The rich and powerful like to use Matthew in their little intrigues. In this particular episode of the series, Matthew has been asked to investigate a murder by the Queen. And so Matthew had done a service for the Queen in a previous book in this series, and she has called him in to help her because she has a very sensitive issue that she needs him to investigate. So he is, even though it's very dangerous for him because this is the stage of King Henry VIII's reign, and the Queen is Queen Catherine. And this is the stage of his life where he's gotten older, he's very sick, and he knows his death is coming, and the people around him are all infighting to try to figure out who's going to be the one to take control of the country after the king dies, because all of his children are young. They're not old enough to be in charge after he passes away. Of course, his male children, because God knows we wouldn't want his female children to be in charge. But that's a whole different topic. So that's what I'm reading for March Mystery Madness right now. I will say, I'm not currently reading, but I will be starting this weekend another book in the Lindley detective series that I'm buddy reading with Britta Bowler, but I haven't started that one yet, so we won't talk about it yet. I am also currently reading this nonfiction, 400 Souls, A Community History of African America, 1619 to 2019. I am buddy reading this with Rachel, and we are, where am I at with this one? I had read through page 263. It's about 400 pages long, so I'm well over halfway through this. And this is nonfiction taking us through this time period, 1619 to 2019, in 5-year increments. And for every 5-year increment, a different Black author has written about some historical information. And these are really fascinating, touching on a lot of historical people and events that I did not know anything about. So I am learning a lot from this book, and I really like the short nature of each of the sections. They're only 3 to 5 pages long, each one of them, because it's very quick to read through. So very much enjoying that one. My mammoth for March of the Mammoths is my Truman biography. This is Truman by David McCullough. It is over 900 pages long. How long is it? How long is it, Heidi? We got a lot of notes here in the back, of course. But it is 992 pages of text. I am on page 180 of this, and true to form with McCullough, it just reads so well. He's such a good person in terms of handling this sort of material and making it very readable. And I know very little about Truman other than that he was vice president under FDR and became president after FDR passed away. So I'm learning a lot already. We've just gotten through, we're at page 180. We've learned about Truman's childhood and are now in his post-World War I life, where he has just started to get into politics. So super interesting. And then my audiobook for this weekend is Patriot by Alexei Navalny. And this is a book that I'm reading for the BookTube Prize. So my goal for the weekend is to finish that audiobook. I am a little bit over halfway through that, and that's my goal, to finish that. I also need to continue on with my various buddy reads and make progress there. But my big push for the weekend is to finish that audiobook. So can I do it? Let's find out together. Hello friends, it's Sunday evening at about 6:30 and I'm here to do a little check-in on the vlog. It is daylight savings time this weekend, so we sprung ahead last night and lost an hour this weekend, which is a bummer. But what's good is that it's still daylight outside and it's 6:30, so we'll take the wins there. I'm happy to report that even though I have been very much having fun with my grandchildren this weekend and working on a puzzle and watching college basketball, I did complete my BookTube Prize book that I was listening to on audio. That was Patriot by Alexei Navalny. And so that one is finished. And I made progress in several of my other books. So I read another 6 chapters or so in Lamentation by CJ Sansom. This is the historical mystery that takes place during King Henry VIII's reign, and we're following Matthew Shardlake, who is a lawyer in that time period. So that one is it's very interesting. So I'm sure I'll be continuing on with that. I have also read the next section in 400 Souls, so I need to check in with my buddy before I move on. This section was really, really interesting and had an essay by Isabel Wilkerson, who's one of my favorite authors. She's fantastic, and her 5-year time period was about the period where the Great Migration really took off, and I can't remember, it was like 1905 to 1910, somewhere in there, or maybe 1910 to 1915. I can't remember exactly which 5-year time period she was writing about, but I loved The Warmth of Other Suns, her nonfiction. And that whole section was the early part of the 1900s, were the essays in that one, and really good section. I enjoyed reading that very much. Got a lot out of it. And I've started my Detective Lindley mystery novel. You saw that from the clip this morning where I was eating my breakfast, and I've read a couple of chapters there. And I've continued on with Truman as well. So yeah, I'm making progress on all fronts, which feels really good. So I've got one more day for the mid-month book bash. Let's see what else I can. I don't think I will be finishing any books. In fact, I know I won't be finishing any books, but let's see if I can make some more progress. Good morning. I'm here to close out the mid-month book bash reading vlog. It is Tuesday morning, and last night before I went to bed, I finished reading the first 200 pages of This Body of Death by Elizabeth George. This is the Inspector Linley mystery series set in England, and this is book number 16 in the overall series. So this, I would not suggest starting here, although as Britta has suggested, I'm buddy reading this with Britta Bowler, as Britta has suggested, you could start with book 15 because there was sort of a big shift in the series after books 13 and 14. So anyhow, this book, we're starting with two timelines. And there's one timeline that in particular I'm sort of finding quite difficult to read about because you don't know for sure, but it seems as though there might be some child abuse involved in it, and that is a very difficult topic for me to read about. And then the other timeline is our normal group of detectives trying to solve a murder case. And I love the way that Elizabeth George first sets up her mysteries. You get introduced to a whole bunch of characters, and you start to try to figure out how these individuals are all connected to one another. And Elizabeth George is often exploring themes of dysfunctional families and parent-child relationships, mental illness, domestic abuse, these sorts of topics. So I would not call these mysteries cozy in any way, shape, or form. They are what I think they lean more towards the dark side, and they are literary mysteries for sure. So like I said, I read the first 200 pages. I need to do a check-in with Britta about that, and I am very much enjoying this, which I am reading for March Mystery Madness. So along with starting this book and reading the first 200 pages, and just I guess to say this is like over 600 pages long. This is like 670 pages long. So it's a long one. And I did finish my 5th Book 2 prize book for this round of the Book 2 prize. So that was Patriot by Alexei Navalny. Listen to that on audiobook and finish that this weekend. I read some more in my mystery series that I'm reading, buddy reading with Doris, Lamentation by CJ Sansom, and got a few more chapters into that. And what's my other book? Oh, Truman, my presidential biography that I'm reading for, that's my mammoth that I'm reading in March. And I read another probably 75 pages overall in that. And that's over 900 pages in that book. So that's going to take me a while. Is that it? No, 400 Souls, which I talked about in my last clip. I did read, cat hair or something. Not surprising. If you own a cat, you know, it is that time of year where my cat is shedding and the cat hair is just everywhere. You wouldn't think one small cat could cause so much havoc with her hair, but she can. Anyway, 400 Souls, which I talked about in the last clip, I read another section of that as well. So yeah, made good progress this weekend. March is a tough month. March is a tough month for me. It might be the toughest month of the whole year. So it's still winter here in Maine, and everybody's talking about spring, and it makes me want spring to get here, but spring is not here in any way, shape, or form. So it makes it difficult. Hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be starting to see signs of spring. I hope. Anyway, you don't need to hear about that. I was just here to wrap this up and to tell you all that I hope you're doing well and finding some great books to read. I'll talk to you later.